8:41. It's a Monday. Um, for today's video, it's gonna be a little bit different. Um, First, I want to just talk about my weekend and how it was, what transpired. Saturday mostly didn't really do anything. Spend the time with my kids at the house. Really, it was a really lazy day. Sunday, man, Sunday was a blessing. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. went to church. I went with my kids. My two eldest daughters were missing. They were one's with them. They were both with their mothers. But I went with my son, his friend, and my youngest, and Nanny, which is the grandma. But it was a blessing. It was a great service. Me and Nanny had a conversation last week about going up there and walking up there and having somebody pray over us, and so we all went. Me, my son, Nanny, and it was a beautiful moment. It was really nice. But the sermon is everything I've been experiencing this season has been what the pastor's been talking about. It's crazy. And I just know that that's God speaking to me, to give me understand, to give me to be strong and to not give up. And then we went to go get something to eat, went to Whataburger, which was pretty good. Spent some time there, took the kids home, chilled for a little bit. Then church had a Christmas party around 6 o'clock. So we left like around 5:30. Went there, and this was the most fun experience I've had in a long time. I was so happy. It was a great moment. It's definitely a memorable one. It gave me a lot of perspective. It showed me how much my kids love me and how much they need me, and that meant the world to me. They had so much fun. We had a blast. Ate some food. It was super cold, but you did it for them. They had like a snow slide. Kids were going down. I went down the slide a couple of times. Me and my son, they had an axe throwing little gate car, and he beat me. Oh my goodness, he beat me, and it was so much fun. I was so proud of him. But yeah, today's topic. I'm just gonna I was writing over the weekend. I've been picking up a lot of journaling, just for my just to help me, to just kind of guide me through the day, what I'm feeling, and jot it down and date it and all that stuff. I've been doing that this whole weekend. It's been fun actually. It's been nice because it's been giving me. I've been able to write down my feelings, and as I'm writing, more thoughts come in my head, and so I and I kind of wrote my testimony. I wanna share my testimony with you all, and my experiences, and just where I'm at now and what I've gone through, and just everything going forward. My focus this season is my relationship with God, my work, and my children. That's it. In the next chapter of my life, when I get a house, that's gonna be centered. It's gonna be centered around God. It's definitely gonna be centered around God. I was just looking at the house or the home that I'm in now, and it's me and my son were talking about it, and we just we need to change. Just because there's posters of not. I'm starting to listen to all the sermons, and just stuff that I was around just was not healthy, and not it was definitely taking me away from God for sure. So just going forward, that's gonna change. I'm going to church every Sunday. I'm gonna take my kids. No excuses. The only time I will not be able to go to church is if I'm traveling, over the weekend. But I'll still make time to go to church. Obviously, church isn't a place; it's a gathering. So I can still do that if I'm out of town. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, but yeah, so I did write it down. I did use, a AI system to kind of perfect exactly what I was, because what I was writing down just didn't make a lot of sense. But, when I summarized it and I put it in a format where it truly meant me seeing that testimony is everything of I wish of how I could speak. I wish I was a great speaker. I wish I knew how to speak to people, and which I do, right? To an extent, but when it comes to my feelings and my emotions, I struggle with it so much. So yeah, I mean, I want to be I want it to be honest. It is honest, right? It's going to be honest. It's not going to be polished, but this is the real me. So we can get started. So for a long time, and I'm going to be reading, so you might see me look, back and forth. But for a long time, I didn't actually know who I was. I just knew the roles I played, just not myself. I was a partner, I was a provider, I was a father, but internally I was restless. I didn't know how to sit with my emotions, so I reacted. I overthought. I tried to fix everything. I leaned on my own understandings, and I believed if I tried hard enough, loved hard enough, or explained myself enough, things would work out. But they didn't. I struggled with lust. I struggled with attachment. I struggled with needing reassurance and control. I didn't feel. I didn't fully realize how much of my identity was tied to being needed until the relationship I held onto the most started slipping away. When that relationship ended, it felt like my whole world collapsed. The silence hurt, becoming strangers hurt, and the hardest part was accepting that I couldn't force someone to choose me, no matter how much I loved them. That's kind of when I reached a breaking point. I realized I couldn't fix my life with effort anymore. I couldn't think my way out of pain. I couldn't distract myself out of grief. I needed something deeper. So instead of asking God to fix my situation, I finally asked Him to change me. I started going to church every Sunday, not out of habit, but because I was hungry. I deleted distractions like social media and just messages and pictures because it kept bringing me back into that reality. Um, I stepped away from things that fed my old patterns. Um, I choose to sit with my emotions instead of running from them. I prayed honestly. It wasn't perfect, but it was just honest. And slowly something began to change. I learned that God doesn't compete with space. Well, it doesn't. God doesn't compete for space, and I was trying so hard to fill this space with someone that just did not want to be there. And ultimately, God wasn't turning away from me. He was waiting for me to reopen that space. Um, as long as my heart was full of fear, control, obsession, and attachment, there was no room for Him to lead. When I loosened my grip, when I accepted that I couldn't change, peace started showing up. Not because everything was fixed, but because I stopped fighting reality. I also learned that silence can be the answer, that letting go isn't weakness, and that obedience often feels like loss before it feels like freedom. There were moments of shame, especially when old struggles surfaced. I still deal with that today. Um, but God doesn't meet me with condemnation. He met me with grace. And I felt that yesterday with my kids. The whole day was grace. I mean, it was beautiful. I began to understand that growth isn't instant and healing isn't linear, but it is real. That's for sure. One of the biggest reminders God gave me during this time was through my kids. You know, when my kids choose me, want to be near me, they feel safe with me, it reminds me who I am becoming. And that's a steady father, a present father, not perfect, but grounded. That's when I realized my identity was being rebuilt. Not as someone's partner, not as someone chasing validation, but as a man rooted in faith, character, and direction. I learned that identity isn't built in restraint. In the moments I don't react, don't chase, and don't collapse into old patterns. I learned how to sit in quiet, how to let emotions pass instead of control me, how to trust God even when my feelings told me not to. That's powerful. Letting go didn't happen all at once. Some days felt peaceful, other days felt empty, but I learned that emptiness isn't absence. It's space. Space for God to build something new. I'm still in progress. I don't have everything figured out, but I'm walking forward, not backward. I'm learning to trust God with my future instead of gripping my past. What felt like the end of my life was actually the end of a version of me that couldn't go where God is leading. And today, I mean, my testimony is simple. I was lost in my own understanding. I was broken by attachment. I was humbled by loss. And I found through surrender. And today, tomorrow, forever, I'm choosing to walk with God one step at a time. And, you know, just when I was piecing this together, I faced a lot of realities, you know. My heart, what my heart wants, you know, it just cannot have right now, and that's because of the man that I was. And I had to understand that I had to swallow that pill. You know, I wasn't the best partner. I made a lot of excuses. I you know I was so I don't the resentment and the anger that I feel, it didn't just come from nowhere. I understand, where it comes from, where it stems from. And maybe I do deserve it, you know, but I also can choose, my battles. And I understand that I was not the right human, you know, at that point in time. And that's for many people, even my kids. It was very hard for me to accept having stepkids. And it's not because I didn't love them or because, I didn't want them in my life. No, it was tough. I was closed off to everybody, even myself, you know. And just being that closed off, not accepting love from people, I didn't realize it. I kept myself distracted, you know. I was using tools that just weren't good for me. Video games, I played video. There's nothing wrong with playing video games, right? And you can use it as a form of pleasure, in a sense of, because I enjoy doing it. But it was also an escape for me. It was also a place for me to not face reality in my own emotions. And, I realized that and I gave it up. I haven't played video games in probably 3 months now. It's been a while. When I would consistently play it every single day. I wanted to be a streamer. I wanted to make videos and play 12 hours a day. But I had to realize that took so much time from my kids, from my family, from my partner. I was, and I was so ignorant to like if I saw myself from an outside perspective, I'd be like, dude, what the heck are you doing? Like you're letting just this time go by when you can be building memories and 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 things like that. And but it happened, right? I can't change that. I can only change, you know, going forward. I can only change my how I move going forward. And God is with me. I feel it. I know it. Through praise, through prayer, just being alone. My mind tends to wander off and to think certain things, but it's like, what can I control now? I can't control my partner and what she does and who she's with. That's none of my business, right? I had my opportunity and it, you know, I couldn't get it right, right? But that's okay, you know. If it wasn't for this situation, if it wasn't for what I am going through, if it wasn't for this season, I wouldn't have realized any of this stuff. So I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I know the Lord is I know I know Lord is looking out for me. I know he knows where my intentions are. He knows where my heart is. He knows I'm seeking to change and that I want to seek him. I know that he's telling me to follow obedience and not obsession, to to put all my cares and my worries and my stress and my anxiety and my depression all in his hands. And that's what I've been doing, you know. I don't want to keep fighting fire with fire. I don't want to keep, it's just it's not the way I want to live. I want to live peacefully. I understand that I'm going to always go through seasons, but when I do go through these seasons, you know, I I need to just sit still and let God do, you know, his work. There's this script has been sitting in my head since I read it. It's Proverbs 1 through 3, and it was blessed the man who doesn't walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. And that script is so powerful, for me because my life was led by the wicked. I was surrounded by sinners who loved to sin. But thankfully, I was never around mockers. Uh, I was around people who question things. Actually, I take that back, right? Mockers, seated in the seat of mockers. When you think of mockers, people think of people just blasphemy and stuff like that. But think about the movies you watch. Think about the shows you watch, the people you listen to. Um, it's it's all over, right? You see, you start to see, like when you open your eyes, you open your heart and your mind, you start to see things deeper than what they actually are, right? We can say, oh, this is just a comedy about priest and about God, right? But that is a form of mocking, and I had to sit down with that, right? Maybe I wasn't being the one. Maybe I wasn't the one being the mocker, but I was definitely surrounded by it. Maybe I found it funny. Maybe I was laughing. Um, and there's no wonder, no wonder. I don't question why my life was the way that it was. I don't question it no more. I know why. Um, I was following my own footsteps, right? Or I was creating my own footsteps, better yet. I was creating my own footsteps. I was trying to follow my own understanding. And, I would always tell people, oh, I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody. I don't, I can do this on my own. And that was so instilled into me. And it's no wonder. I was sinning every single day and I enjoyed it. I wanted to. I tell myself, there's nothing wrong with this. It's okay. But it was damping my soul. It was hurting my soul. It was hurting my heart. And so I was just this empty shell of a man. And I walked around with that on my shoulder. And it's nobody's fault, you know. But now I have God in my life. He has done amazing things for me. And all I'm doing is just being still. I'm allowing him to lead my life. I'm allowing him to be the center of my life. I'm allowing him, he is the space that was meant for, that I put other people in my soul and my heart, is now for God. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I do believe that he died on the cross for our sins. And I'm living proof of that because I feel like I am saved. I know I'm saved. I don't have to question that. I'm not alone. And right now might be a season of grief, heartbreak, loneliness, but that season's gonna end. I'm not saying it's never gonna come back, right? It will, but now I know where to lead to, where to go, right? I don't need a physical being to attach myself to, and nothing good comes from that, right? It, and God's been telling me that for a long time now, for a very long time, to not lean on my own understanding. And I want to read that script, just because this one also, this is probably one of the most powerful script to me, and the most well-known script, and it's Proverbs 3:5-6, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." Isn't that the truth? I know a lot of us tend to drift off our own ways, and maybe it can lead to success, right? Maybe it can lead to you having more money, to you having more friends, more people around you, more connections and whatnot. And that might bring you happiness, but it's only temporary, right? Money is going to bring you success. Money is going to bring you connections. But lose it all, right? If you were to lose it all, 9 times out of 10, you will have nothing. God can take that away from you, right? Especially if you believe that the success came from you, right? Think of the book of Job. Job had everything. And he always, he never lost faith in the Lord, even when everything was taken from him, even when he lost everything. He didn't question God. He didn't, you know, he said he deserved it. He said, if the Lord's doing this to me, it's because I deserve it. And that's powerful, because as much as he can give, he can take. And, but yeah, Proverbs 3, 5, 6, it means to trust fully. Place complete reliance on God, not just part of your heart, right? And what that means is not just the part that's broken in your heart. It's your entire heart, because he can take bits and pieces and he can put it back together. He will. I'm proof of it. Avoid self-reliance. Don't depend solely on your own limited wisdom, logic, or experiences. And again, there's that's a lot, just like the Bible, right? The Bible is a lot deeper. I thought that if I just read the Bible, you know what I'm saying, I'm a good human because I read the Bible. And I was trying to read like books. I was reading books, right? Like I'm gonna start with the book of Job. I'm gonna start with Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. I read Peter's letter, and I'm like, okay, but I did not understand any of it. I was just reading it, and they say that it takes years to read a book, to understand a book in the Bible. And, like here I am thinking I am reading this book the right way, and I'm going to be filled with wisdom, and I'm going to be God's child because I'm reading the Bible. And that's me leaning on my own understanding, right? That's me, not really, just reading a verse and trying to understand it and, live by those verses. Proverbs, tells you, it tells you how to live. It tells you your surrounding. It tells you, what can corrupt the heart, what should feed your body, your soul. And if this is something you struggle with, I would recommend reading Psalms first, and then reading Proverbs. Because everything, like whatever you're going through, it's going to be in the book of Psalms, and it'll tell you how to overcome it easily. But you have to read in between the lines. And then read Proverbs, because there's a reason why Psalms is before Proverbs, right? Because Psalms is telling you why you're going through and how to overcome battles, right? How to deal with anxiety, how to deal with depression and all these illnesses that we come to see more often. But Proverbs gives you direction. That's strong, right? Me growing up, I had no direction. I again, doing whatever I wanted to do. But Proverbs gives you direction. It tells you how to serve God, how to have a better spirit, how to live your life, what to consume, what not to consume. And it's not going to be an easy road for you to take. It's going to be hard, but it'll be worth it. I promise you. Acknowledge him, Right? Recognize God's presence in every will and every decision and action. Everything that you do, even the storms, be thankful for it. You know, um, and then receive guidance. In return for His trust, God promises to illuminate your way and make your life's path clear and successful. We all we all want to achieve success. We all want to get out of situations that we put ourselves in, or our situations we just grew up from. Um, Especially me, right? But this message is for everyone. You know, I was never really I'm not. I was very a spiritual person. I was very sensitive, very soft, kind-hearted, soft-spoken, light-hearted, respectful, individual. I've always been since I was a kid. Since I was a kid, I've been told this, from a lot of people, and I lived my life from 10 years old till now, such a guarded, built these walls, tough, I don't care, individual, and I became that. That's not who I am. I love people. I love everybody. I love people who don't like me. um, I love. I have love for everybody. I've always said this, and this might sound crazy, but I feel like I have the heart of Jesus, right? I can forgive very easily. I can. I don't wish bad on anybody. Um, when I look at somebody struggling or somebody angry, somebody upset, my old reaction was to meet them in the middle, right? Just like, for example, the other day I was at Kroger and I'm walking with my daughter holding her hand. This guy was looking at me, he was me mugging me. He was like just looking at me crazy. And I looked at him and, the old version of me would have been like, dude, like, what's up? Like, what are you looking at? But my heart didn't want to take that approach, and it didn't. My heart took the approach of, hey, is everything okay? Like, are you good? Like, do you need anything? Do you need a hug? And, and he was like, shook his head no. And he was like, he said, oh man, I'm having like indigo, your daughter, I have kids too. And she kind of reminds me of them. And we had a conversation, a great conversation, man. Like it ended so lovely and peacefully, and it made me so happy. Um, but that if I would have made that split decision and been like, like, and if I would have met him what I thought he was trying to approach me with, it could have gone south, right? But I approached it with love, with intention, with care, and you know that's God for sure, 100%. That's God, right? Is knowing what's right, choosing right, leading with love. Um, Resentment is never a good tool to have. I know it's built up. I know that. I know that it's easier to protect yourself when something has been hurting you for so long, and so your natural response becomes, you know, anger. Um, But I say, listen to God, grieve, go through the process, go through the tough times, because that's Him reaching out to you for you to call Him. Um, in the Bible, it mentions your surroundings. And again, I'm still learning the Bible, so I'm going to need help, but I'm going to dissect what I'm looking at and use my own experiences and what I've gone through to kind of relate to what the verse says. Um, and what I'm looking up um, is your surroundings. Um, and I'm just going to go over this because I think it'll help. I think it'll help a lot of people. I've always been one not to. I'm going to change that. You are who you are around your surroundings. Um, when they talk about Lucifer, they say he was a beautiful human being, right? Or sorry, beautiful angel. And we look at Instagram, we look at Facebook, we look at TikTok. We see all these beautiful individuals, and we want to follow them. We want to idolize them. We want to be their friend, and we want to know them. Like there's guys on TikTok, right, who go around these public streets, clubs, and stuff like that, and they will go around talking to different chicks, and I always told myself like, this is so lame, you know. But like, think about and I'm not saying that these people are evil or they're the devil or anything, but think about the devil, right? What is his mission? What is his goal? And it's to turn people from Christ, from God. So what does he do? He goes around, he's in people's ears, talking to them, tempting them, and that right there just kind of brought me to that image of these guys going around. And again, I'm not saying they're the devil or they're evil. I get it's content, right? But think of it in its whole totality. Think of it like, what does that look like? You going around getting these girls' numbers, tempting them, getting people to watch you, tempt women, you know. God doesn't want that for you. God wants you to find Him. Then you can find your long life partner, somebody who's on the same page as you. But it starts with what you consume and who you're around. Okay, so I'm gonna go over some positive influences, negative influences, and qualities of good friends. The Bible teaches that the people you surround yourself with significantly can influence your character and choices. I am proof of that. I see people that I'm around, I see that they're proof of that. And I'm not saying all your friends have to be perfect, but they have to. But your friend should want some sort of righteousness, some sort of relationship with God, right? And as I said before, we can all get easily distracted with social media, with just distractions. But it can develop who you are as a person. I, when I was in school, I was around a bunch of pretty people, I would say, and cared about their looks. They cared about getting girls and lusting and all this other stuff. It was ridiculous, right? But my heart wanted to be with the nerds, right? Wanted to be with the ones who, who weren't afraid to be themselves. I've always related to people who are just themselves. Always related to those people. But I was always around people that put on a mask, which is why I put on a mask. That's what I was around. I wanted to look good. I wanted to get my hair cut. I wanted to dress the best, and I wanted to get the girls' attention, and just right that consumed me a lot. But here are some positive influences. Proverbs 13:20. Whoever walks with the wise become wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. What does that mean? Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. Is he saying, or is the script saying, if you are walking with someone smart, you will be smart? It's not. That's not what wise. That's not the intention behind wise. Wise means, and this is for me, to choose, right? To choose what you're seeking. Somebody wise to me, and I'll give an example, my partner. Well, I guess my ex-partner, or I'll say the mother of my children. She, when I met her, her soul was wise, very spiritual, very God-seeking, very, warm. I was probably the total opposite of that at that time, and it became me, what she calls fruitful. It made me wise. It made me closer to God. But the companion of fools will suffer harm. What does a fool look like? What does a fool look like? To me, a fool is someone with no direction, or someone in the wrong direction. Someone who says that they got this. I got this. That used to be me. I got this. God got this. Right? So, I guess what I'm saying is, I was a fool. For sure. But going to church, right? The pastor, wise person. The Bible, wise. It's a wise book. God seekers, people who choose to follow Christ and to live by the word of Christ, are wise people. Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. That encouraging mutual improvement. Now, let's dissect this. If you are iron sharpening iron, right, to be refined and to be, to your best ability and at your full potential, is people, who have the same values as you do, right? So if I want to be a great father, right, I can't be around men who are okay with not being around their children, or who care about, and I'm not throwing any shots. These are just from experiences, even with my family. With people who speak to their kids a certain way, who people who hit their children, people have who are not in control of their emotions. Right? You can't. And if you're sharp and this person's not sharp, right? You can guide this person all day, every day, but you're not sharpening anything. All that's going to happen is your sharpness will dull, right? Eventually, then you start to crack, you start to chip, you start to lose the structure, that you were built on. So you have to be around people who have the same values as you, as a person, as a parent, as a follower of Christ, and you can help somebody for so long until, like I said, it gets exhausting. I was around people that they may have cared about me, you know, but they weren't sharpening my iron, right? They were, you know, I wanted to quit smoking. I wanted to quit drinking. I wanted to quit playing video games. I wanted to quit, doing all these things, right? And but the people around me, and they don't have to, right? They don't. I'm just because I'm doing it does not mean they should do that. Even with my partner, right? I'm choosing to change my life and follow Christ and be by this book. And right now, that's not her path. That's not what she's choosing. She's still a great person. She's still a wonderful person. But our we're not on the same page, right? I can't sharpen her. She cannot sharpen me at this moment in time because we are just on two different paths. So, be around people who have your best interests, your best values, and people that will lead you in the right direction, not people that will take you away or distract you because they validate your feelings. Because we have that, right? People tell you what they want to, what you want to hear, and you start to believe that. You get attached to that, and that's never good, because you're seeking the validation always from them. You get attached to them, and and it's hard to detach yourself from somebody who tells you what you want to hear, right? Who does that sound like? What does that sound like? Right? To me, sounds like the devil. And again, I'm not saying that these people are devils or evil or demons or whatnot, but if it's not God's way, it's probably not a direction you want to go down. The righteous chooses their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. All right, sorry about that. Got the AC guy coming. It's so cold in here. I got the AC not working. But I'll try to edit this video to where it kind of goes with the other one. It's gonna probably be a long one. I guess I do have so much to say, huh? But to get to continue, sorry, it's cold outside. The righteous chooses their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. What does that mean? It means you don't want everybody to be your friend, right? You don't want you don't want everybody to like you. You don't want everyone to talk to you because you're gonna get different perspectives, and you're not gonna know where to turn, right? Um, the righteous. What is the righteous? Right? When you think of righteous, you think of like, you know, a king or a prince. Uh, that's not righteous. It can be in its own way, right? But righteous in the Bible is a follower of Christ, someone who chooses God, someone who follows God, and somebody who believes and has faith. They are the righteous. who choose to do right, even when sin is tempting them to do wrong. And we have people like that. I mean, think about think about the people you idolize, right? Think about the artists, what they sing about, what they talk about, what what they show you. Um, think about friends that when you're mad or you're upset and they're telling you like, oh man, like they're encouraging that behavior, or um, they're influencing your choices, right? Those aren't righteousness, right? You seek God first when you're going through a struggle. You don't seek friends. Um, your friends are there to support, you know, and to keep you on track when you start to fall off. They're not there to tell you um, to change direction and to lead you astray, to lead you further away from God. Um, and we see that a lot, right? At least in my life, I do. Proverbs 22, 24, 25 warns against befriending angry or hot tempered people to avoid learning their ways. Mm, hot tempered people. What is considered a hot tempered person? Someone who's easily influenced by sin, someone who gets mad and gets destructive. Um, because, I mean, at some sense, we are all pretty hot tempered, you know, or we can be hot tempered. When I think of this verse, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of impulse, right? I'm thinking of like you react instead of understanding, and to you choose anger. You choose to be angry. You choose to be distant. You choose to not face the reality and have those hard conversations. You choose to perceive information just so you can react, right? We all do it. Everyone does it. But, you know, and I'll give an example with, you know, with my with the mother of my children, right? I try to have some sort of calm conversation with her, and to try to get some closure because I really craved an emotional moment to be vulnerable, to 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 really just see if that person that I loved, that I cared about, and that I wanted to see if there was any chance that we can come together and just try to focus on Christ. Um, but she heard something she didn't want to hear. She reacted and got angry, and it this happens with 90% of our conversations, 99% of our conversations, and it got heated. Uh, and it's not for nothing, right? It's definitely it has its purpose. You know, I'm not surprised. I'm not saying she's a bad human, but right now we're just not at a place where we can communicate because it gets ugly, it gets angry. Um, so when it's saying befriending angry or hot tempered people, avoid learning their ways. Now I could match her energy, right? I can be angry. I can blame. I used to do that. Um, and that was us just learning each other's ways. That's how we learned how to communicate, was through angry conversations. I hated it. I'm not an argumentative type person. I can be when I get to that point, but I'm learning to listen to understand and to respond because I know that that's important to look at another perspective. So, so yeah, on the Proverbs, it's kind of telling you who to be around, who not to be around for your direction, for your success. And now some negative influences and warnings. 1 Corinthians 15:33, do not be deceived. Bad company ruins morals and character. Bad company ruins morals and character. Um, what does this mean? I guess the best way I can describe it is, you know, there was a point in time where I was considered bad company. And I wouldn't say with friends, but more so with my partner, um, especially when you hold a lot of resentment and guilt. But bad company means like just people who are not going anywhere, right? People who are, lazy, which I used to be. People who, all they want to do is gossip, talk mess, be on their phones and look at videos and people who will distract you from who you are is essentially what I'm referring to. Um, I had this friend. We were friends for since maybe sixth grade, fifth to sixth grade that summer. He's been my friend for since then, and he wasn't necessarily bad company, right? But when you think of bad company, I'm not referring to bad people. I'm referring to the context of what your company consists of, what you're talking about, what you're looking at. Um, you know, I never been one to rely on people for comfort because I knew that I was around bad company. Why would I rely on bad company to comfort me? you know, um, Maybe that's something I should have been better about. Maybe I should have led by example, right? Maybe I'm considered bad company. I know I've had people tell me, "Oh, every time we're hanging out, you're just upstairs, you know, just upstairs by yourself." In reality, it's it's because I considered them bad company, right? They're not bad people, but I like to, you know, and people that know me, they know that I can get real deep, in conversations. I used to go with friends. I used to get one-on-ones, and we used to go to Galveston and sit on the beach and just talk and just be deep and just, I used to really get in those conversations with people all the time. Um, it was a part of who I was, and I think I attracted a lot of people because I was just that type of human being. I was with people every single day. Uh, so yeah, bad company. Think of that when you're around people. They're drinking, they're smoking. Are they influencing your behavior to lead you astray, and you may not realize it or notice it? That's considered bad company. 1 Corinthians 5:11 commands believers to not associate with professed Christians who are immoral, greedy, or drunkards, not even to eat with them. What is a professed Christian? And this is strong, right? I tell people all the time, "Are you a Christian?" They say yes. "Oh man, look at this chick over here, man." Or send me pictures of models and stuff. But you're a God loving. I'm not saying you don't love God, right? But when you are a professed Christian, which I'm still learning, right? Which I'm not, which I want to be, right? Um, but you're doing all these things that goes against what it is to be a Christian, what it is to follow Christ. You're setting the example of of what of what an imposter looks like, right? Are you an imposter? Are you saying you're Christian just so you can get into heaven, right? And I think a lot of people do this, right? I did this. I used to tell myself, yeah, I'm a Christian. Getting drunk, being immoral, giving into lust, loving it, and it says not even to eat with them. That could mean family. That could mean a lot of things, right? A lot of people, coworkers. Psalms 1. Describe the the blessed person as one who does not sit in the company of mockers or the wicked. And we talked about this earlier. Qualities of good friends: supportive and loyal, honest and rebuking, loving and encouraging. Now, you can interpret this any way you want to. It's very vague. Encouraging. Okay, what does encouraging look like? Oh yeah, like nah, man, forget about him. Like that can be encouraging, right? Supportive, loyal. A lot of people have these qualities, but if you're not looking at the positive and the negative of those qualities, you can have somebody who's a drunk but is also loyal. That person not perfect, right? You can care about that person, but you don't have to be around that person, right? And I'm learning this today too. Like I'm learning this as we are going through these things. Like, it, you know, you are who you're around. I know who I want to be around. I know what type of supporters I want to be around. I I know that if I'm going through something, that they're going to lead me in the right direction, not tell me, oh yeah, no, f that person. I don't need that. I don't need somebody to tell me, oh, you just need to smoke a joint, or you just need to drink a little, take a shot. It's the devil. You know, that's evil. Can't say everything's the devil, but my brain's gonna start thinking like that because I want to turn to God. I want to turn to God, righteous people, not just people who follow Christ because they want to get into heaven. And I don't want to be that person myself. So yeah, we kind of deep dive into a little bit of things. It's probably gonna be an hour video, but I hope you guys gained something from it. I hope you guys, kind of heard my testimony and see what type of human I am and what type of person I want to become. And all I want to do is help. That's all I want to do. I want to be there for people. I want to guide people. And if this video even helps one person, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Like I said, I was never to be one to be in front of the camera, but God is calling me to do this, and I'm nervous to send it out. I'm nervous what people are going to say, do, look, but you know, that goes back to the company and the friends, and I don't need everybody to be my friend. I don't want everybody to be my friend. I don't want everybody to like me. I don't need everybody to agree with me. But if this helps at least one person grow, understand, to follow through, to seek God, to seek guidance, do it. Do it. By all means. I hope it helps you. But if you do find this helpful, just, reach out, say something. You need advice, you need guidance, you need a prayer. I will pray for you. I'll pray for you right now, actually. I got a few prayers here that helped me through a lot of what I have gone through, especially with, just loneliness and stuff like that. Here you go. Dear God, thank you for this day you gave us. Thank you for watching over us at school, at home, and everywhere we went. Thank you for our family, for the people who love us, and for every blessing. You give us even the ones we forget to notice. Lord, we ask you to fill our home with your peace. Help us speak kindly, to forgive quickly, and to treat each other with love. Teach us to be patient, to listen well, and to choose what is right, even when it's hard. God, please help each of us with the things on our hearts. Give us strength when we feel tired, courage when we are afraid, and wisdom when we are not sure what to do. Help us grow in kindness, faith, and understanding every day. We pray for protection over our family tonight. Please keep us safe, keep our minds calm, and keep our hearts rest in your presence. Watch over our friends, our teachers, everyone we love. Lord, guide our steps tomorrow. Help us learn to help others, to shine your light wherever we go. Let us feel your love around us always, and remind us that you are with us in every moment. We give you our worries, our hopes, and our dreams. We trust you with all of it because you are good and you never leave us. Thank you, God, for loving us so much. We love you. We thank you for everything you've done and everything you will do. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, you guys have a good one. Peace.